Just think of me as a light on the headlands, a beacon, steering you clear of the rocks.
You can't keep snakes in your backyard and expect them only to bite your neighbors.
You know, there are things that Pakistanis have done as complicated.
Welcome back to me. Homeland, the season 5 finale was last night, and it absolutely wrapped up a lot of the loose ends that we've been looking at for this season. This season actually ended up telling a pretty cohesive story that I found very satisfying. While I don't agree with everything that they did, I feel like the story as a whole was satisfying. So last week we, of course, ended with Carrie chasing Kasim down the subway tunnels. After spending an awful lot of time and energy trusting a stranger to go send a text message with her iPhone, letting him get away, I thought that was strange. I feel like, screw the text message and just go get the guy with the sarin gas before it's too late. But the other people on the terrorist team there, they were captured as a result of that text message. So I suppose it was a good thing. Just if she lost sight of him and couldn't catch him, I mean, if Kasim's heart was in it, basically is what I'm saying, it would have been all over. It was only because he was waffling on it that she even stood a chance. She wouldn't even got through the locked gate unless she could shoot out those bicycle locks. Makes me want to carry bolt cutters around in my bag when I ride the subway at this point. But moving on, with no theme song this week, we get right into the action, and there's Carrie chasing him down the tunnels, and he says, that God will give him the words to say to Bibi to stop him from setting off the attack, and Carrie's like, how about instead of that, you just shoot him in the face? Would that be all right? She kills Bibi. Kasim, of course, dies, and she does get a chance to thank him for saving Quinn before the end, which I thought was nice. She said, are you the one who helped my friend? And he was. So she was able to thank him for that. So they're outside, and Carrie's in the ambulance, and she's doing cry face, and Saul is talking to her and sends a car to send her home. And the whole time she's walking around her house, I'm waiting for Alison to jump out from a closet or something like that and ambush her. But it doesn't happen, and she lays down in the empty house. It's supposedly Jonas's house, and she goes to bed, and she's sleeping. And just to wrap up that plot thread, later we see her wake up, and Jonas is there, and they kiss, and they have one last fling, if you will. And then Jonas gives her the sweatshirt as sort of a parting gift. And she's like, what do you mean? This can still work. And he makes the choice to break things off with her because he can't deal with her lifestyle and all the people that are going to still be coming after her. So she does not take it well, but it's the best thing for Jonas right now. Later, when Otto During makes her that proposal to think about the scope of what he's proposing, basically to be his wife, I thought it came out of nowhere, but thinking about it a little bit more, I really feel like this whole season he's telling Jonas, you should leave her alone. I'm not going to rehire her. You should get away from her. And I thought that he was going to betray Carrie. I thought Otto was going to betray Carrie, but he was actually throwing Jonas off because he wanted her for himself, which I did not see that coming. And when we go to season 6, I'm wondering, do we pick up with the two of them being an item? Because Carrie did turn down Saul's proposition to come and have an autonomous team and pick the mission she wanted. She said that part of my life is over now. She wants to focus on being a mother, which I can respect. But the fact of the matter is those people, she's the drone queen. So all the people who she's hurt and killed, they're still going to be coming for her. So I think the best move for her is to continue doing work for the CIA and get that level of protection and to stay, one step ahead of the terrorists. Great scene this week was with Saul and Yvonne, and Saul gives him a great deal instead of spending the rest of his life in prison or worse, to go ski in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and stay in witness protection, because in real life the Russians would try to come after and kill a defector like that. I know, like Edward Snowden is living in Moscow right now, and I don't believe we're sending a black ops team to take care of him. But the Russians, as I understand, they look at things a little bit differently. So he would need the witness protection. And Saul basically gets him to, through flattery and through a little bit of coercion, basically take the deal and explain what Alison's extraction plan was. The scene where Frau Farbissina there, the Russian woman with the turtleneck, puts Alison in the trunk of the car and says, the next sky you see will be Russian. And the hood of that trunk closes. Watching it a second time, which I did last night, you realize she's never going to see this guy again, and she's going to die in that trunk. And it almost makes me feel bad for her, almost. Now, I could forgive Alison for working with Yvonne. I mean, she made that choice. I could forgive her for lying to Saul, but she was going to let that terrorist attack go through. The Russians wanted it to go through, and she helped them. She threw them off the trail, said that the target was the airport. Now, I don't know how dark of a road you have to go down to willingly kill thousands of people in such a horrific way, but she did. So she was irredeemable at that point. So she got what was coming to her in the trunk of that car. When Saul opens the trunk of the car and sees her body there, it's just like...
Wait, does this have spoilers?
Oh, yeah.
Because I want season 2.
It was really satisfying to see Saul walk down like Jason Bourne, basically, with that winter hat on, and say, open the trunk, and there she is. The one thing that I read about today is that in the intelligence world, they wouldn't have killed the 2 Russians in the front of the car. If those were actually Russian agents, they'd be off limits. They would have stopped the car and just taken Alison or just killed her. But killing all 3 of them is apparently a problem. And I wonder if there'll be repercussions for that in the future. The way they played it, it didn't seem like Saul cared, and I don't think the writers will pick up that thread. So the last thing is it Amanda Sutton? I don't even remember. The journalist and Astrid. And Astrid turns just the right screw on her and says, we're going to send Newman back to Pakistan unless you help us cover up the death of the guy, I can't remember his name, who jumped out the window. She knows it's the best thing for Germany, the best thing for the BND, and she actually decides to work with, in her own world, the devil, and basically lie for the government, lie to the people, and she basically cashes in all her credibility to save Newman, which I thought was out of character for her, but a move that I respect. So the final thing everyone's talking about today is, of course, what happened with Quinn, and the scene with Dar and Quinn. They're both sleeping. I mean, I understand that Quinn's in a coma, but Dar was kind of just very, very softly snoring. It was pretty humanizing for him. And when he gave the story of recruiting a young Quinn in Baltimore and how he was 16 and he was just good looking enough to get certain things done and he was strong, it differed a little bit with Quinn's own story of his childhood, but it's very interesting, and it was humanizing for the both of them. I really feel like Dar has a soft spot for Quinn, and the letter that Quinn wrote a few years ago before he went dark in Syria, him reading that over, the voiceover over Carrie putting the chair into the door, taking the oxygen monitor off his finger. It was really touching. It was really well shot, and I'm thinking, like, is she going to put a pillow over his face, or what's going to happen? And then that beam of light comes through the window. A lot of people are saying that's cheesy, but I thought it was nice. It was. At first, I thought it was him healing. I thought it was like she was going to look back and he was going to have his eyes open and he was going to say, like, Carrie, but that was not going to happen, unfortunately. It seems like the dominant theory right now is that beam of light was him passing away on his own. Biggest thing to talk about is what's up for season 6. So does Carrie backpedal and take Saul's offer to come back to the CIA? I think she'd be a fool not to. She's just got to get that work-life balance. Can't she be like a consultant and just stay in Langley? Otto, did we think that his proposal to Carrie was a little bit out of character, or did it work for you? Does she take him up on it? Does she have any interest? I mean, she doesn't seem like the kind of person who would specifically want to be married to like a billionaire or whatever, especially, Saul in the beginning talked about what his family did in World War II and stuff like that, but he would obviously provide a certain level of safety and stability for Carrie's daughter, and that's got to be a tempting offer. I mean, if she has any feelings for him at all. I noticed early in the season, Carrie was at his house a lot, like drinking wine, and he always had her back. He would always take her in and do anything he could for her. And I thought it was just his own damage control, like a professional courtesy to one of his people. And as soon as he could cut her loose, he would, which is what he kept telling Jonas. But I think it's just all added up to the feelings that he had for Carrie. And the proposal was, I thought, out of character and out of nowhere at first, but thinking about it more, it was very much in character, and it made sense. So I know it's been renewed for season 6, and I'm very interested in, do they do a big flash forward a couple more years in the future, or do they pick up with Carrie and Otto meeting in D.C. in 6 months? Maybe she's in D.C. and now she's ends up in Langley with some kind of a meeting. Something's going to happen, and she gets pulled back into the world of the CIA against her will, kicking and screaming. So it's been fun talking about this show with you. I was going to do a video for every episode. I thought it was too much, but I really feel like this season told a very cohesive story. I thought the things at the beginning with Gabe H. Cood, or however you say it, it was going to be just him in the first few episodes, but his story and his personal journey went full circle and actually ended up taking down Laura Sutton. And Laura herself was taken down, and in the end, the government won. The government got everything that they wanted. They shut down the whistleblower, they shut down the hacker, and they stopped the terrorist attack. So, the message of this season, a lot of these things hit very close to home with what's going on in the world today. It just makes you think like what the Russians said. We want this attack to go through for our own personal gain. Would our own government ever say something like that? I like to believe no, but are there governments out there that would? It's an interesting question, and it's a very good topic for debate. That's all for now. I appreciate you very much for watching, as always, and we'll see you next time for another review, and we'll see you next year for more Homeland. Thanks.